Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Pod Plays. I am with the wonderful Phoebe. You are a champion for doing this. I feel like I always just contact people last minute. I'm like, hey, I need to interview. And that's exactly what happened with you. And I'm just so grateful that you were able to meet because we've known each other for a few years over the online ways, online means, but we've definitely been in contact since our little ones have been even more little, and I've really followed your journey from the very beginning. Now, you are the mother of two beautiful kids, Hainsey and Valley, and you live in basically paradise. Everyone, whoever follows Phoebe, just don't do it. No, I'm serious, do it. But don't do it because it makes you feel like you're like, I have to move to Exmouth like today. How do I get there? It's just the most beautiful place. You are just live in paradise, and I just think it's gorgeous. And love and life. But you had a bit of a spanner thrown into the works back. When Valley was really little. Now, Valley was born hearing, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. So she
yeah.
was born hearing, and then things sort of went in a little bit of a different direction. And did you want to sort of take us back and talk us through what that was like? Because
The
it's just sounds like
journey.
the journey.
Yes, yeah.
Go for it.
So Valley was born hearing. All of her newborn hearing tests came back clear. There was no worries, no mention of anything. We have no family history. I did not even have it on our radar at all. We were a traveling family. We were traveling Australia full time in our caravan, running a business and just loving life. And the thing that's helped with that is that our entire life, both of my kids, has just been documented. Everything is on video, on camera. Everything's time stamped for both of my kids' entire lives. Our business was very heavy on social media, so like everything is documented, which is crazy because I have so many videos to show specialist professionals that she's responding. She reacts to sounds. She was talking. She learned how to talk. She only had a few words, but on par with her age level, she would say, "Mom, Dad, home." I've got a defined video in my head of her with her big round blue eyes just perfectly saying home. And like I look back on those videos and think, God, like she had full hearing. There was absolutely no signs. There was nothing that ever made us think about that
Mm.
until about 15 months of age. Again, everything's on camera. So I know that she was 15 months of age. It was near her brother's 4th birthday. We're on a big property, one of our friends' property, with our caravan. And she was just kind of playing outside of the caravan on the grass, and I was just sneaking up behind her, and I thought, oh, I'll just playfully give her a bit of a scare. So I snuck up right behind her and I said, "Rah!" And she did not respond at all, not even a flinch. She didn't turn around, she didn't laugh, she didn't scream, zero response. And I kind of thought, oh, that's funny, but brushed it off. But it was enough to kind of trigger in my brain, enough for me to mention to my husband that this happened today. And he was like, nah, she talks to us and she responds to her name, and like, don't even worry, don't stress. But it just kind of put a little seed of thought in our brains that we just kept an eye on it. And we also thought she is a huge water baby. She is literally a mermaid with gills. She lives in the water. So we thought, if anything, maybe she has a bit of a fluid build up in her ears for an ear infection or something like that. So we didn't stress too much. And we kept traveling. There was nothing else really going on. But that was the first seed of planted of something maybe not, something maybe happening. This was also peak COVID. So between the space of 15 months to 18 months, we were traveling from North Queensland across the Northern Territory border into WA. And I'd booked her an appointment with the doctor in Darwin. And then because I couldn't get into Cairns because you just couldn't get into doctors through COVID. It was so busy. We couldn't get in anywhere in North Queensland. So I thought I'll book ahead to go into Darwin. booked ahead to go into Darwin for when we got there, and then Darwin went into a snap lockdown. So we were in lockdown for a week or maybe even 2 weeks in Darwin. So didn't get to see the doctors then. And then there was big theories that WA border was going to shut down, lock down. So we raced to get over to WA. And we literally got across the WA border, and then the border shut like 2 days later or something. And it was just a really tricky time. Like, we knew, like, by this time, over those 3 months, she pretty quickly progressively got worse, to the point that she started not responding if we weren't directly in front of her. Like, if we were talking to her from behind, she just kind of stopped responding. And because that thought was in our head, we'd noticed it more. And she started really, really watching our lips, and would only really respond to us if we were talking directly in front of her. So all these little things are kind of like, maybe something, but then I don't know, then you start to doubt yourself and you think, no, I don't know. It's crazy, like, when people will say, how did you not know? But God, they're clever little kids, and she can lip read like amazing. And anyway, we didn't even know that she was deaf at this point, but she wasn't. She was progressively declining. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't get into the doctors. The first time I got her in was when we arrived here, where we live now, in Exmouth. I went straight to the child health nurse. So Valley would have been about 18 months by now. And I went to the child health nurse, and I literally sat in the room and just said, something's wrong. Can you try and find something wrong with my child? Basically, not wrong, but, you know, something's not right. I actually had taken her mostly, I was thinking maybe her ears are blocked, but I was mostly taking her for her behaviors, because all of a sudden, from 12 months to 8 or 15 months to 18 months, all of a sudden she just flicked this switch of just not 24/7, but all waking hours, 12 hours of a day, of just really frustrated, so frustrated. She would cry all day, every day, but it wasn't crying in pain. It was frustration. Like, I knew she was frustrated, but I also had already had a child and learnt all about the leaps and the developments, and that they go through these peaks. And I just kept telling myself, she's just going through like that really big developmental stage, and she's having a leap, but it was like the leap that never ended. And it was so taxing on my mental health. We were living in a caravan, which was like 4 meters. So our entire family is living in 4 meters of space. And she just would cry all the time. And it felt like it was at me, like, being the mum. I don't know. I felt like it was all taken out. Not that she was taking it out on me, but that's how you feel in the moment. Like, you're doing this to me. Like, I don't know. That's how I felt in the moment. I can't even explain that, but it was just like, I just wanted to put her to bed. Like, I couldn't wait for nap time. I couldn't wait for bedtime. And then as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, she was straight at it to you. And it's just really, really defeating on you and your mental health. So I was really personally struggling. Even like, we were staying at caravan parks, and it got too much that, like, we moved our caravan onto a big shed, because I didn't want to be in this tight caravan park with so many people and just have this child screaming all the time, and there was nothing you could do to help her. And like, say we were going out to a brewery with some friends, like, I would go for 5 minutes and I'd come home, because I was so anxious that she would have this, I don't even know, like, this breakdown that we couldn't help her through. So I would just isolate myself and take myself home, because I didn't want that to happen in public.
And what was like, because this is such a critical time of age as well for this to all go down. And so this is the age where our kids start to tell us their needs and their wants, and they're actually able to articulate that. And so obviously that's been taken away from her. So there was obviously those early stages of language deprivation starting to kick in, and there was that frustration. What was communication like? Because at this point, I'm assuming Auslan hadn't, because you still didn't really know what was happening with her. So Auslan wasn't even a thing that you thought of. But what was, or was it maybe? What was the communication like at this point in the, while she was so frustrated?
So we didn't know she was deaf, but I just knew the way she was crying was frustration. Like I just knew in me, I was like, she's so
Mama's
frustrated,
gut.
and it feels like communication frustration. So I said to Chris, she can't tell us what she wants. So I'm going to just learn myself the basic human needs, like eat, drink, more, finished, want, home, mum, dad, like super basic. Like if she's hungry, she for some reason can't tell us that. So I want her to be able to tell us that. So we actually did, and I literally was just Googling like sign language for mum. And I look back on videos from those early days that I was signing the complete wrong sign, because it's very tricky when you just Google a sign and it comes up with ASL, BSL. Even our Auslan has different dialects in all the different states. So I look back and I'm like, oh gosh, we were doing some signs wrong. But whatever she connected to, we knew what she was saying. So it wasn't a huge deal at the time, and we've corrected a lot of that now. But so yeah, we did learn a little bit of sign language before we even knew she was deaf, and that was a godsend. So that helped heaps. She did start talking less than what she used to speak, which confused us at the time because we didn't know that she was deaf. But looking back, God, it makes me it hurts my heart. It hurts my mum heart to look back and think what was happening for her. Like she's got this family who will speak to her one day, and all of a sudden we don't make sense, or we're not making the noises that we used to make. And if that happened to you as an adult, you'd go and tell someone, you'd say, oh, I can't hear you properly. She didn't know how to do that. So all of a sudden her whole family, it just isn't talking to her anymore. Or like, I just think that would have been such a confusing time for a child, and they don't have the articulation or the comprehension to even make sense of that. So I do wonder if she stopped talking because she thought we stopped talking, and it was kind of like, oh, well, no one's talking to me anymore, I'll stop talking. Which makes me sad to look back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did start to learn some Auslan, not like, just basic things for her age. And then that was pretty much the only communication we really had. We would still talk to her as normal, and then we'd chuck in a few signs that we had learned. And then when we went to the child health nurse, I literally was just like, help me. And they were like, no, like this is 18 months. This is toddler. Because I went for behavior. And she was like, no, like toddlers are like that. And I'm like, no, I have a child. I've had a toddler. This is different. Like she is really screaming for our help. And then I just started crying, and I was like, I need help. Like if you can't help her, you need to help me. Because I was just I've always been a very positive person. I've never felt like I've dealt with mental health or depression, but I was deep in at that point. I just didn't want to be a parent.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, well, if you can't help her, I was crying. I'm like, if you can't help her, help me. Like I am a struggling mum here, asking you for help. And as soon as I said that, she just a flick switched in her where she was like, right, like let's do something. So she kind of I explained that I think she's frustrated for communication. Maybe it's her ears, maybe she can't verbalize. Like I don't know what it is, but it's definitely frustration, and it's definitely around communication. I don't believe she's in pain. And so she told me to hold her on my chest and face her outwards, and she rang a bell on both sides. Zero response. We live very remote. We don't have audiologists. We don't have specialists and stuff here. I should mention that. And then she did like a pressure test, like a puff of air vibration kind of test, and she said it came back with no like there was no, I don't know the technical terms around it, but she said that's not a hearing test. She just did it because it's all they really have here, and it was her way of getting me a referral to go see an ENT. So for us to go see a specialist is 1,300 kilometers away. We need to go on a plane to Perth. So Valley and I went down to see an ENT, and the ENT on the phone had said to me, it's more than likely that she needs to have grommets. So let's book her appointment on this day back to have a hearing test and explore. And we'll also book the next day for a surgery because you're coming as a visiting patient. We just want to get it all done at once. So if I'm going to tell you you need grommets, I think it's grommets, yeah, then we may as well book in the appointment the next day. So we booked it all in. So I went and researched all like grommets and everything, and everyone says, oh my God, my child, like overnight, flick of a switch, you know, they just started talking and started responding, started hearing. And so I was like, I was on a high. Like, I'm like, we're going to Perth. We're going to go see this ENT. He's going to tell us she's got fluid in her ears. We're going to pop some grommets in the next day, and we're going to see a change. Like overnight, our daughter is going to be happy. Our family is going to be happy. Like, this is life-changing.
Wow.
Got to the ENT, and they did 2 rounds of audiology tests, hearing test, twice because they couldn't get a good reading on the first one. And then the second one, they were like, we just think she's in a bad mood today. She's not cooperating, and we just think she's in a bad mood. So come back in a couple of years. And I was like, oh, you're the professional. Everything must be fine. I will take everything that you say as gospel because, I don't know, you trust the professionals. And so I went home. Me and Valley went home. I was a little bit defeated because I had built myself up onto this cloud where I'm like, we're going to come home with grommets and everything's going to be different. And I was so looking forward to that. Just not having her up, like crying and stuff a lot.
Yeah, I just think that that's such an important message for like anyone in the field who does audiology testing and things like that. Like this happens a lot. Like where if the child's behavior isn't right for I'm assuming when she was younger, so it might have been was it the puppet test?
It was in like an audiology super quiet room, and she was sitting on my lap, and they said, don't make a sound. Don't talk. She had a little book, and I could hear all the noises, and she's sitting on my lap, and I can feel her not responding. Like you'd feel a twitch, you'd feel a head move. Like I can feel her not responding, and I can hear these noises clear as day. My hearing must be great because I can hear it, and she's clearly not responding. I can't even see her face, and I know from her body sitting on my body that she's not responding. And if they do respond, they put like a little puppet up.
The puppet, that's right. And it's this classic case of the mum just saying, no, I'm serious. I'm with this child every day. I see the responses every day. And you were saying to them, she's not responding. And some of these things you're saying happened leading up to it was so obviously, that. And the fact that they've dismissed you, particularly because you've come so far to be there, that blows my mind. And I just can't believe it happened to you. What a whirlwind.
It's so crazy to look back at, and I think if there's anything I've learned through this whole journey is just seriously trust your gut. Like even starting Auslan before we knew she's deaf, like I knew that was something that she needed, and then when we found out she was deaf, I was like, I already know Auslan is the way to go. Like look how life-changing Auslan has been before we even knew she was deaf. And even for my hearing child, even for me and my husband, just discreetly have a little conversation between people or from a distance. Like, why wouldn't you learn it? It's so convenient practical in so many times, and it literally changed ours and her life.
So what happened after that? So you went home, you were
Yeah,
basically
so
told that she's fine.
that she's just in a bad mood and come back when she's not. So I went home, and when I was there, like I was like, I don't know, when you're sitting in front of this professional, and also I'm there solo. My husband, like, we come through patient travel, so they only pay for the flights are funded for the carer, the parent, and the child. So my husband can't come. He also has to look after our son at home. So you're there. I'm there solo. You don't have that other parent to back you up or to hear, like talk over everything. You've also got a child who doesn't want to be there. They're tired. They're sick of it. They've just gone through 2 audiology tests. They can't hear anything that's going on, obviously, but I didn't know that at the time. Like, she's frustrated, and you're trying to, like, listen to the professionals. You're trying to parent, and your brain's just everywhere. And I just took what he said as correct. Like, I was just like, okay, we'll go home and come back, like, see how things go, and we'll come back. And then we got home, and I did kind of accidentally start sharing her journey before it even became a journey, because I was very active on social media because we had a business that required that. So I was just very active on social media, on my personal one and my business one. So on my personal one, I had just kind of mentioned, oh, I'm going to take Elliot to go see an ENT because I don't know what's going on. So I'd kind of started this little journey of accidentally sharing something that became way bigger. And we got home from that appointment, and I'd done like a follow-up share on my stories where I'd said, oh, he told us this, and to come back when she's older. And a parent of a deaf child who's a grown-up now messaged me, and she said, trust your gut, call them and say, I don't agree, and ask if she can have an ABR. I had no idea what an ABR is. It's an auditory brain response. And this is where they put the child to sleep, and they do their test, but it's the brain's response instead of them being awake and having their misbehaved response is what they're assuming she's giving them, a behavioral response rather than just their brain's response. And I ended up asking that for that woman's phone number. I didn't know her. She was just I don't even know why she was following me in the first place, because to me what connects us now is our deaf children. But she was obviously following me before that. And so she'd reached out to me. I messaged her back, and I got her phone number, and I called her, and I had a really great conversation with her. And then I was just fired up. I think that activated my advocacy switch, and I called the ENT back. I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I just thought, how horrible of me to call out a professional in his, like, that's what he does. And I felt like I was out of place. But then I'm like, I'm the mum. I'm living with this child. I'm not just a 60-minute, 30-minute appointment that he has with her. I live with this child 24/7, and it's not right. Your opinion is not right. And so I called him, and I respectfully told him that I disagree with his opinion, and I would like him to perform an ABR on her. And he said that he would not perform an ABR, but he will refer me to someone else. And if they want to do an ABR, they will. We ended up going through PCH. Loved everything that happened with PCH. I have nothing bad to say about PCH from our experience, which is Perth Children's Hospital. So we went back down to Perth, and we went into a normal audiology hearing test, which was exactly the same as what we did with the ENT, but in the audiology department in the hospital. And we did that, and again, I could feel her not responding, but I don't think I knew the severity of it. And the audiologist came in. She was a lovely young girl, and she came in and she put her hand on my leg, and she said, your daughter has bilateral severe to profound sensory neural hearing loss. I have no idea what that means. That word went over my head. But I started crying. As soon as she said it to me, I started crying and she was like, it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. It's going to be okay. And I said, I'm not crying about that. I am not crying about a hearing loss. I just want to say thank you. Like, I have been fighting for someone to believe me that something is not right, and you've given me an answer. So thank you. That's what I was crying about. And I don't even know that she
Wow.
was deaf yet because I actually didn't know what that word meant. And um, so once she said that to me, literally everything started happening. Like, she told me that. She gave me a couple of pieces of paperwork that told you what sensory neural meant, which is a permanent hearing loss, and what would kind of be happening. She had mentioned cochlears to me. I didn't even know what a cochlea was. But she'd mentioned these words. Again, I'm solo parenting with a child that doesn't want to be there, a fussy child, and you're trying to listen to this information. I know it's big and important information, but it's going over my head and I don't know what the words mean. If she had said to me, hey, your daughter's deaf, I would have been like, whoa, okay, I know what that means. But saying like the technical term, I actually didn't really know what she was telling me. I just knew that she was giving us an answer. And if you have an answer, you now have a pathway to follow. So I was like, amazing, we have an answer. But I did understand that there was some severity to it because of the way the room changed, the energy in the room. And she came in with a colleague and like they told me together and she had her hand on my leg. So I knew that it
Yeah.
was something, but I didn't understand fully the words.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's so interesting that you say, I had no idea what they were talking about. And I think sometimes they do need to simplify the language in that moment just for families to really grasp, okay, what are we dealing with here? Because as you said, you're like, okay, I feel like this is bad, but I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
So, wow, so interesting.
So they picked it up in the hearing test, the one that the ENT said, nah, she's misbehaving for this. So they picked it up straight away in one hearing test. And then she said, so from here, you'll come back tomorrow, come straight back tomorrow. I had to call patient travel and push all of our flights out. They had to change everything because you're going to be here tomorrow and we're going to do the ABR. So I don't know if it's their protocol, but they have to try doing an awake audiology screening before they do the ABR. So then she said, we'll do the ABR tomorrow, which is where she goes to sleep and they do the brain's response, the auditory brain's response. And that kind of just confirmed to them, yes, what we got in the awake test is correct with what we got in the ABR. So
Yeah, they do like a very comprehensive test battery of like a series of tests because they want to be sure. If they find
yeah,
that there's a hearing loss, they just need to be sure. They can't really base it off just behavioral, for sure.
yeah,
Mm.
especially at that age because like I know with jobs that we've had to do hearing tests and you kind of like, I hear it, then you're like, surely there'd be a beep now. And you kind of like, I'm good, I hear it. Whereas the child's not doing that. So yeah, they just need to be 100% sure. The ADR was like, it's never nice to put a child to sleep, but it was actually very, very gentle. It was just a medicine that they gave her instead of the horrible mask over her face where you're like pushing
Nice.
them down. She was only asleep for about 30 minutes. They did the ABR and she was awake and she was fine. So
Yeah,
the ABR was,
very different to the cochlear implant anesthetic.
yes, yeah,
And we'll get
much
to that.
nicer.
I think we should get to that next part of the stage of your journey because I think that again is like a whole nother layer, right? That a
Yeah,
lot of other people who are on this trajectory with their kids, they have deaf or hard of hearing kids, but they don't go through the CI route. And we actually connected over this because we became connected somehow, I think, through a mutual friend. And then this all sort of kicked off after they sort of found out that Valley had severe to profound, and these were sort of the next step. So talk us through how that all came about.
yeah. So pretty much when we left that test, the hearing one, my phone started ringing. Like before I'd even called my husband to tell him, my phone started ringing. It was Hearing Australia. It was NDI, no, not NDIS, the head of audiology and the CHIP program, which is I don't even know what the acronym stands for, but it's for cochlears.
Yeah.
They
Let's
called
do
me,
that.
like everyone started calling me very quickly. It was very, very, very quick. They said she would be high priority because of her age and the severity. Um, and she literally we went to Hearing Australia the next day, and actually, it was the same day. I left that audiology appointment, not the ABR one, and she got her ears molded for hearing aids. And by the time we flew home, her hearing aids had arrived at our house in the mail. So she had hearing aids within a week of being told that she was severe to profound. Um, the hearing aids, they said, probably won't work, but it will keep her auditory nerve active. So wear them as much as you can. Just keep that auditory nerve active. So when she goes into cochlears, her nerve is active.
There you go.
Yeah. And then so for the cochlears, there was heaps more tests to be done, and we don't have any of that there. So we kept flying back. You do the MRI, you do the EKG, you do heaps of things just to confirm that you are eligible for the cochlears. So she went through that whole process. Chris and I found it that's my husband. We found it very hard to make that decision. Now that we have them, I'm so glad. I love it. It has changed her life. It has changed our life. I think it has provided her with so much. But to make that decision, I felt really, really heavy to make a permanent decision on someone else's life. This is not my body. It's not my life. And it's a permanent decision. I found that really hard, and I battled in my head so much. I thought, I can't explain it to her at this age. I don't have the terminology in sign at that point. And even if I knew how to sign it, she doesn't understand that sign at that point. There was no I created a book for her, and I put pictures in there, and I tried to explain it in book form, in picture form. But it was very, very, very hard. I remember a day where Chris and I sent the kids to school, daycare and school, and we literally sat on the couch and YouTubed everything we could about deafness, hearing loss, cochlears, hearing aids, everything. We YouTubed absolutely everything. We sat on the couch and we cried. We cried and cried and cried pretty much for an entire school day, 6 hours, sat on the couch and we cried together. It feels like at the time, it feels like such a loss. Like it feels like you are grieving the life you thought your child would have, which sounds so heavy now that we're in a different state of mind and everything. But at the time,
You don't know what you don't
no,
know.
and I just remember literally grieving. I was so it was a very hard time. I actually feel like I tried to kind of write some key points today, and I have blacked so much out.
Yeah. It's funny how you talk about you two sitting on the couch because that's an image, a really vivid image I have of Cam and I when we
Yeah,
found out about Frank, and we just sat there, and I think it was just the overwhelm of emotions, and your mind is racing to different futures and different,
yeah,
like all the different scenarios that they're going to live out, and that all the different scenarios and they're not going to live out anymore. And it is this overwhelming just emotion. And I remember we just
yeah.
sat there in silence. We couldn't even talk for yeah. And yeah, it felt like a whole day for sure. It's that.
It
And
probably
I think
was.
yeah, it probably was. It feels like that's a really important part of the journey in some ways, though, to actually feel it and
Yeah.
like sit there and be like, okay, this is real. Let's just let this hit us, let this happen. And now you sort of have to then make those decisions. But I think it's like a rite of passage almost.
It can't, and it's not just going to be that one day. Like it comes out at so many different occasions. I don't know. I have so many memories of just standing in the shower and bawling my eyes out. And just, I would wake up in the middle of the night after having a dream of her going missing in a shopping center, and I can't call out to her, and I can't go tell the man on the speaker to call out her name because she's not going to hear me. We don't even live near any shopping centers, but I'm like having these dreams, and I'd wake up just with literal heartache. Like my chest would be in pain and I'd be crying, and it
Yeah.
now it doesn't make sense, but back then, like that was it was so
Yeah.
hard. Like, it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um,
It's your little heart living outside your body. And it's
yeah,
like you're really just trying to navigate that. I found it a totally different experience, even though I taught deaf kids. This was my
yeah,
baby. So yeah, definitely different. Okay, so you went through the rabbit hole of looking at all the stuff around devices and deafness, and I'm like so common for so many parents. And then I guess you obviously made the decision to get them.
yeah.
So how was that process for you? And how is she doing now since having them?
She's doing amazing. We actually fly back to Perth in 1 week for her 2 year cochlear checkup, which is insane that she's had them for 2 years, and I cannot believe the progress in 2 years. Like, it baffles me. And to even think, what about in 20 years? Like, if this is happening in 2 years, what about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Like, I can whisper to her and she'll respond to me. And I'm like, what? It's
Yeah,
crazy. Um,
different world.
the cochlears. So once we made the decision, I spoke to a lot of people. I spoke to you. I spoke to a couple of other mums that have been on this podcast, and actually found where we live, she's the only deaf person. I don't have anyone to go and actually meet in person and talk about deaf things. Um, so I found so much support in online community with other mums of kids. I feel like a lot of us were going through, we all have different stories, but a lot of us were going through the cochlear, the surgery, the mapping, the rehab, like all of that at the same time. So it was really such a help for me. And something that I do want to say here is that I had that. I went and found people that were in the same boat as us, and I had people to talk to. Men don't seem to have that. Like, me and Chris would talk, but for a guy to go and meet one of the other dads, they just don't seem to have that. I definitely feel like if you're a man, reach out to another dad, because they're going through all the same emotions that we are. But us girls talk. We talk about everything. And I just think that having people like just going through the same, obviously different, everyone's got a different path, but having people to connect with is that's game changing. That's what you need to get you through
Yeah.
it.
It's such a
Um,
yeah, oh God, I could not agree with that more. And I think that that's such a really good point to share because I think there'd be a lot of men out there now experiencing what our husbands went through, and yeah, to have someone to talk to.
yeah,
And so even though she's got the CIs and she's doing so beautifully, you've kept Auslan up with
yeah,
her.
yeah. We do. She is great at wearing her cochlears. She loves them, but she lives in the water. She literally, like, we're on school holidays right now. We just got back from camping for 5 days. She basically didn't wear her cochlears for 5 days because she's just in the water, in out the water, in the water, out the water, in the water. We live in the most beautiful place. We are on the water every day. She just doesn't wear them. She does have the aqua kits, but she says they sound funny and she doesn't like them. So we've never forced her cochlears on her. We've never forced the aqua kits on her. Your choice is your choice. And that's why we have Auslan. And because we started using Auslan before we even knew she was deaf, I had seen how life changing it is for her and for us. So when we found out she was deaf, like, that was no brainer. Obviously, we were never a question to not have Auslan or to have it. Was just, we're having Auslan. I actually think from memory, when I called my husband and told him what was going on, that was like one of the first things he said. We need to up our Auslan game. That was
Love it.
we were just all in, and he was like, find someone, because we were just learning from Googling, but we were like, no, like, we need to do this legit. You need to find someone. And we connected with Darren and Brianna from Auslan in the West, most amazing people in the world. And we still were like 2.5 years into this journey, I think. Yeah. And we still do weekly Auslan lessons with them virtually over Zoom. And then they come over, one of them, they take turns, they fight of who's going to come to Exmouth. And they come over once a month through our funding to just be deaf mentors to her, and they go to school for 2 days a week with her a month. Sorry, 2 days a month with her, and then they come and hang out with us, and we go out on the boat. We just have dinners together, and we just fully engage, and I love it. They've just become like family. It's just, and we don't have anything, we don't have anyone or anything here. So for us to have that, like, that's so, so special.
I was going to say that you're the perfect example, and I think it's a really lovely message again for families who are remote and who are just like, well, there's no resources here. And that is such a true story for so many families. But you're the perfect example of, you're like, well, I'm going to make what I can make of this, and I'm going to find my people, even if that's virtually, and I'm going to get them here if I need to get them here. And like, I just think you've done such an incredible job at building her village when you literally had no resources. And you've even got a beautiful person, because you weren't able to get obviously a qualified interpreter into her school. It's so hard to get interpreters into remote locations anywhere. But you have an incredible Auslan, well, an educational assistant who has learned Auslan for Valley, and she's like smashing it, right? She's
Yeah.
killing it. Yeah.
Yes. So while we're in the whole like discovery diagnosis phase, we were traveling full time, and then we bought a house here in Exmouth, which when I look back, I'm like, how timely, because like we bought the house before we knew that she was deaf, but we were kind of in the discovery phase. When we bought the house, we found out a couple of months later, and I look back and think, thank God, because we were traveling. Like, we would have ended, like, how would we have?
Yeah.
I've done 46 flights in 18 months for her appointments, mapping back and forth. Every 10 days we would fly out, which is a whole nother ball game. But I just don't know how we would have done that without our base here. But then we have the trouble of where we live. And Chris and I had a very big discussion about, there's nothing here. There's no other deaf people here. There's no deaf community here for her. There's no deaf culture. There's no services. There's literally nothing here to help her. Do we sell the house and move to a city? And then we were like, no, we're not going to go be another number in a city. We're going to bring everything to her. And our number one priority is bringing people to her and having community around her, because I just think your community is, your village that you build around you is literally number one. And so when we got on the NDIS journey, I'd asked for all these things, as you do, the things, because we don't have them here. And the NDIS person on the other end said, nope, you chose to live there. That's your problem. And that was my little fire that lit me. Because I just think that is not the right thing to say. She has the right to have all the access to everything that anyone else has the right to. So no. And then I went on a very big journey into advocacy, and I fought my way through NDIS. I just feel like they skim over things and, yep, tick, 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 done that, next person. And I wanted Valley to stick in their head and actually see the beautiful little girl that's life you're changing. They are literally changing people's lives with whatever decision they make. And she deserves to live wherever she wants to live, or wherever we've bought our family home, and have the same access as anyone else would have. So again, with the community, it's a small town, so most people here would know Valley. There's only one school here, and they called me probably 8 months before she was even due to go to school. And they said, hey, we know about Valley. She's more than likely going to attend this school next year, so we want to get the ball rolling now. Like, what do we need? You tell us, what do we need? And the school's been amazing. And they put out an advertisement to get an EA for her. And they asked me, do you want hearing or signing? And I said, I want both. And they were like, well, respectfully, we live remote. We can't offer housing to anyone, and there's a housing crisis here. No one can rent anywhere or buy anywhere. So we just got to see what we can get. Like, beggars can't be choosers kind of thing. We'll just get what we can get. Don't crush your fingers for Auslan. And then they called me and said, you wouldn't believe it, we found an EA who knows Auslan. And they actually learnt through our deaf mentors, through Auslan in the West. So we all are connected via that. And yeah, she's been
Oh.
amazing. She is incredible. And we never want you to leave.
If you're
Totally. We never
listening.
want her to leave. If you're listening, we never want you to leave.
Oh,
No, so
wow.
Valley had her first year of school last year. She just finished kindy. She had an amazing teacher who has never worked with a deaf child before, but she was just amazing. She had a Auslan EA and then she had another EA. And then we had a teacher of the deaf who comes up and helps the school, helps the teachers, gives them any feedback or anything. And she had a big meeting with me at the end of the year, like an end of year review, and she was just like, this is amazing. I basically want to clone your entire support here and put that in every school because they're nailing it. They are just doing amazing. Valley's thriving. The other kids in the class are thriving with Auslan. They all go into a new class this year and they're getting split into two classes, and there have been multiple mums that have requested their child stay with Valley because they don't want to lose the Auslan that they've learned, which is a huge testament to have parents of those kids go and see someone higher up in the school and request for their kids to stay with Valley for Auslan.
Yeah. And I think also credit to you because that is a mammoth thing to set up. And I remember being in contact with you through little parts of it and just the advocacy you did to get these things. You didn't stop. You just kept going and you kept looking for things. I think it's really common and natural for us to be in those situations and sometimes be like, this is too much. Let's just move to a city. And I know a lot of families who've had to do that because for them it was the right decision, but you really dug your heels in and you did it. And now you've got this incredible village. I just think that is amazing. We're going to wrap up very soon, but as I ask every parent on here, I just wanted to end with any advice you think or any final message you think would be really comforting for those on the journey, whatever stage they are in the journey. But just, yeah, from your experience, what is something you'd like to share to end?
I think just feel it all and don't feel bad for having those feelings. I know I just felt literal grief. And I think back now thinking why was I grieving? My child's okay. She's not dying. She's not terminal. She's okay. She's going to be fine. She's going to have a great life. But you just feel grief and you feel hard and you feel when everyone's constantly asking you, give us for NDIS, give us your worst day. I feel like I'm a positive person, glass half full person. I want to look at my child with greatness, and I hated when you had to just give them the bad and you feel like you're talking bad about your child and you're and they have these tick and flick questions. Does your child do this? Does your child do that? And you're constantly no, never. Those kind of questions. And it makes you feel like you're not talking nicely about your child. And I don't know, all of it. There's so much to the journey. And I just think, feel it all. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. And it's so normal to feel what you're feeling. But also, one day you'll just turn around and be you'll just realize how amazing the journey is and how grateful you are to be on this journey. I just think it's such an amazing world that I wouldn't have known about if I didn't have Valley take us through this world. It's amazing. The people in it are amazing. You'll find a whole different meaning of life and a whole different community of people. And I'm so grateful to be on this journey. And I know that it is hard at times and there's so much worry, but they're okay. They're going to be fine and they're so resilient and so are you. Feel it all. Everything's going to be okay.
Oh, I love it. It really, and as we always say, it honestly is a privilege to raise a deaf child. It really is. And I think you just, encompass that beautifully in what you said. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
and sharing your
you.
story. Honestly, you're a superstar, and I'm just loving following your journey and following your story with Valley. She's just kicking goals, and you have just been, yeah, a powerhouse in all of that. So thank you again for such a last minute interview. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for being a huge part of our journey too.